Huh?
Oh, it wasn't showing me as things being live. Hey, everybody. Meaning us. It's time for another serious Saturday.
Yeah.
Constitution Part 2.
Back on the Constitution, since everyone is absolutely fascinated with that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. We got a bit of engagement last time.
Yeah, engagement happened.
I mean, I assume so. I missed half of it.
Yeah, you were a little busy.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, so anyways.
Yeah. We can get on to it. We'll go ahead and restart. Oh, you know what? We should adjust this to be Serious Saturday number. What is this? 4? Actually, what was the last one?
It's like the 5th one?
Yeah, this is number 5. One moment.
Wow. We came really prepared.
Yep. That's
I just
the
forgot
norm,
to
don't
update
you know?
the thing. That's all.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll just go ahead and move over to our main page, because why the fuck not?
I forgot where we left off last time.
Well, we're gonna restart
don't ask me, I don't know.
the Bill of Rights.
Oh, yeah.
Because, first off, Sir missed some of it, but also, we can cover it all more in depth, because we're not rushing as much.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Oh, you don't have to... You don't have a heart out this time?
Yep, Constitution. Here we go.
Don't have a what?
Yeah, I don't have a heart out this time.
Cool. Get ready for a 7-hour stream.
No, it won't be 7 hours. My wife would kill me.
Yeah.
She'd do it on stream, too.
What's the link to the website you're on again?
There it is.
Okay, I need to do the link thing. Link thing. There it is. Wonder if we'll have any guests today.
Not as far as I know.
Yeah.
Someone might show up.
Burb is playing video games. Bitch.
Video games.
Well, we'll go back to the First Amendment. No one's here anyway. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Yummy! We just started, so we're going over amendment.
Literally just now started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from religion.
Now, a lot of people will mix up freedom of speech and the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects freedom of speech. The First Amendment is not itself freedom of speech.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction to make.
Yeah. A lot of the First Amendment protects you from the government infringing on your freedom of speech, infringing on your freedom of press, infringing on your right to peaceably assemble. Notice it says peaceably in there. That's an important one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a very important one.
I'm looking at you, certain groups.
Yeah, whatever group you're thinking about when you watch this, just know you're probably right.
Because there's a lot of them that do it on all different sides of the table.
Yup. Like, without going too much into politics, the LA riots after Rodney King, those weren't protected. They did provide change, and that honestly, that was a boiling point where nothing else was working anyway, so I'm not gonna fault them. But
Yeah,
that was not protected.
Yeah. There's a...
The Tiki Torch Brigade with their fucking bullshit. It during any part of that was peaceable, that was protected, even though it was fucking dumb. I mean, it's to the point where the Supreme Court had to uphold a neo-Nazi party's right to hold a Nazi rally in a predominantly Jewish town.
Yeah, that's how the ACLU started. Because
Yeah.
they were protecting the rights of the KKK. Because all they were doing was parading through. They weren't breaking anything. They weren't hurting anybody physically.
Well, nowadays
Technically.
words are violent, so that view may be different.
Yeah.
Which words are not violence?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like anybody espousing that is someone that you shouldn't fucking listen to.
Somebody that hasn't experienced violence.
Or,
Someone-
more sinisterly, someone who is looking to try and control you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
McCarthyism
your
wasn't
speech.
good, and the modern day version is not all that far from it.
At least McCarthyism actually got rid of some actual communists.
Yeah, but how it went about it was fucking dumb. Also,
Yeah.
it
I
preyed
know, I'm
on
not
the
justifying
pride of
it,
those
I'm just saying at
communists.
least that got something accomplished. Nowadays, it just doesn't do anything.
Well, part of the thing was it was the only way it succeeded was by preying on the not malice, the ego of those communists that it got rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the communists, the quote-unquote communists it got rid of, were not communists. It was only the ones who came out and said, I'm an avowed communist, blah, 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 that it actually got.
No. So, not defending the practice.
No, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah. And they really messed with somebody that's like, hey, isn't your cousin a communist? Come with us.
Yeah, you're not a communist, but isn't your cousin one?
I don't know. Are you sure you don't know? They're your cousin. You should know.
Oh,
You
this
should
is
keep
here.
tabs on your family at all times, shouldn't you? You should know exactly what they're doing. You should
Here's
be
a
writing
list of
it down
things
in
to
a
tell
book.
if your family member is becoming a communist. Do they have pamphlets? Do they say
Yeah.
things like
How's it going, Liz?
the working class is not being represented? Do they want to form a union?
Well, which is really, that one's actually really funny because when union started, it was the Republicans who
Yeah.
who were pro union. And then as time went on, it didn't exactly flip, but it kind of did.
Priorities shifted between the parties and it sort of got all wonky.
Yeah.
Unions in general are good, but there's some fucky unions out there.
Yeah. Trade unions are most of the time good. There have been certain locals that are of exception for one reason or another. Hell, even in my own setup, there are certain locals where you're like, yeah, we know that local will fuck over its members and anyone coming in if it gets the local a benefit, a kickback or something like that.
Fun fact about unions. Did you know Walmarts used to have live butchers?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know why they don't anymore?
Because they're union.
Yeah,
Or they wanted to unionize.
There's one Walmart that still has live butchers. They unionized, and then Walmart's like, we're not having live butchers anymore. And Walmart's so anti-union. There's anti-union propaganda all in those back halls, all over the place.
Do not trust
Yeah.
Walmart. Walmart is asshole.
Well, I mean, to be fair, unions are good. They are definitely good. But in working with a union, well, most unions, there are absolutely exceptions. I'm not going to paint it with an absolute broad brush.
I was going to say, it's like, unions can be good. Union organizers, on the other hand, you should be highly suspicious of.
Union organizers, certain specific unions. But, like, the intent behind a union is to ensure that that the union members are paid a fair wage for the work they do, to ensure that the contractor is getting good, solid workers who know what they're doing or are getting trained up to know what they're doing in terms of apprenticeships, and to ensure that that the members, like I said, they get the pay, but also that they get the benefits that they need. There's someone to fight for on their behalf if something goes wonky at work.
Yeah.
And that's the intent behind it, and it's a good intent. There are absolutely some unions that do that. There are also unions that will they'll either take the protecting their members too far. I can think of 2 unions off the top of my head that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers unions tend to be like that, and more, in fact, public sector unions tend to be like that more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are also the unions that will throw their workers under the bus in order to get or their members under the bus in order to maintain a good relationship with the contractors or this or that.
Yeah. Whenever unions get into lobbying, problems can start to arise.
Yeah.
But when they don't get into
Walmart's
lobbying, just as many problems arise, so that's not exactly a good basis for judgment.
Yeah, no, Walmart's anti-union propaganda starts on orientation day. They have you sit through like a 20-minute video of why unions are bad. And then there's posters all over the walls. Nuts.
Yeah, if the company's that interested in preventing unions, I think it's because there needs to be a union protecting the workers for that company.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was seeing all this shit, and I was hanging out in, like, the fridge. And I was
You
talking
didn't
to one of my
miss much,
coworkers.
Dino.
I was
We
like,
just started talking about the First Amendment, and right now we're kind of... We're still going over the First Amendment, but we've gotten into unions a little bit
Yeah.
because it has to do with free speech, freedom of assembly, that sort of thing.
yeah. Yeah, I was talking to one of my
This is
coworkers.
suspect.
I was talking to one of my coworkers. I was like, have you noticed how much anti-union propaganda there is? I think we should unionize. They're like, probably get fired if we try.
That's the point.
Yeah, but I think we should.
That's the point.
That's-
If the company feels that it's going to be directly impacted exceedingly negatively by their workers unionizing, either it's because they're getting low-skilled, low-wage workers that they are abusing the fuck out of, or not necessarily in what most people think of as abusing, but abusing their time, abusing their loyalty, all that stuff, or it's because, I mean, sometimes it could be for political reasons, or stuff like that, but generally it's because they think they're gonna get hit by fines and really get restricted.
Mhm.
I actually know, I have a friend, most of the people on here will know him, but I'm not gonna mention his name just for his sake. But he worked for a company that was non-union, but most, if not all, the other branches related to that company were union. That one branch was doing some sketchy shit that made no sense, and he kept trying to push some of the guys to unionize. And anytime he'd push, they'd be like, "No, because the union will just take some of my money." Yeah, but you'll be getting paid more. What, you'll pay $500 a year, and you'll get, as a result, you'll end up getting 1,000 more a year. I'm lowballing there on how much you'd be getting back, but
just for the ease of numbers.
For the ease of numbers and the fact that it's not going to be double what you're paying, it's going to be more. But they were like, "Yeah, I still don't want to give them money." You'd be making more net.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. I think.
Yeah, that was some of the propaganda that was on the back walls. Unions just want to take some of your hard-earned money and do nothing for you. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not actually how it is. But also, another good thing to keep in mind is it's a good idea to have a non-union competitor in any space that has a union. Yeah. Because, at least in the trades, it creates that competition to make sure that the union keeps pushing to be better than it was.
Mm.
If the union is the only one, teachers union, then the union just runs roughshod over everything. And has no real accountability. And the members of the union don't actually have to be good at their job.
Yeah, but teachers also get fucked over in a lot of ways. But that has more to do with that has more to do with how we allocate money to schools.
Yeah, but there's a huge difference between actually having the ability to accomplish what you're trying to do and being worthy of being paid to do it versus having the monopoly and being able to just do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think more the point here that Rimsky's trying to make is that, like, a lot of current teachers' unions don't do the teachers any favors.
Yeah.
Especially in public perception.
They don't do the teachers any favors, And they don't care if the teacher's any good at their job or has any real any real skill at the thing. They're just, or even if they're fucking,
standards are pitifully low.
yeah, exactly. The standards are low, and the union's not trying to make sure that the standards stay at a decent level because they have no competition to make it so that they have to stay at a decent level in order to stay competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Any questions in the chat about the First Amendment? Want to go into the religion aspect of things? Or...
Yeah, we can go into the religion, because that's actually fairly relevant too.
Yeah. All those people that say we're a Christian nation, we're a nation with a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, because like you see the argument brought up time and time again, especially by religious figures here in the States, that the United States was founded on Christian values, and it's just like, was it though?
You can make the claim it was. And you know, in certain cases, that's probably not wrong. But that does not mean that religion gets to run roughshod.
Yeah, do not kill and do not steal are Christian values, but I think those are pretty universal.
Unless you're Mayan.
Or you're me.
Look, just because you stole a boat.
Still for sale, guys, if anybody's interested.
You know what, Crab did put that pretty well. It's got a background intertwined with Christianity. It's not founded on Christianity.
Yeah. Because that was the thing, it's like, not all the founding fathers identified as Christian.
Yeah, a lot of deists. And for those that don't know what a deist is, it's just somebody that thinks that there's a higher power. No real religion behind it.
Thomas Jefferson wrote his own version of the Bible where he took out all the miracles.
Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton abhorred Christianity and its like teachings, like the Bible and whatnot.
Yeah, Dina, that's what we're getting at. That's the whole First Amendment, religious freedom. That's why people moved here in the first place.
And like the founding fathers were cognizant of that fact as well, that people came to the colonies to escape religious oppression.
Yeah, especially prosecution from the Catholic Church and shit.
Well, in the case of England, it was the fact that the English were extremely anti-Catholic.
I'm talking more about the Dutch that came over here.
Yeah, well, the English, it wasn't that they were anti-Catholic, it's that the crown said, no, fuck you, we're going to make a national religion, I'm going to be titular head, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that did breed a lot of anti-Catholic sentiment that would last for a long time afterwards.
Yeah.
In fact, like in Chicago, for example, like the Irish got a lot of blame for the Great Chicago Fire, and that was primarily because the elite of the city were Protestant and the Irish were predominantly Catholic, and they hated them for it.
Yeah, religious... oh, fuck, what's the term I'm looking for? Religious antipathy based on religion, I think that's the best way to put it, is fucking dog shit, but it exists.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
So,
But
when
basically,
you meet
with
up,
this amendment, the government was ensuring it's like, you can practice whatever the fuck you want, and we're not going to do, like, we're not going to persecute you for it. We're not going to make laws against you for it.
also,
Yeah,
if
with a
it
few
also makes
with
a
a few
statement
practices being an exception.
Yeah.
it also makes a statement of, if you attack someone for their religion, we're not going to let you get away with it just because of your religion.
Yeah.
Religion can't come into the understanding of, this is why this killing was justified because the Bible says so. No, it's still killing. You can't get away with it just because of your religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why anybody suggesting it's like, oh, we should bring our religious laws to that. You keep that shit where you've left it.
Mm. It's
If
also
you
why
want that,
the
go back to your own fucking country.
is it I always get them mixed up. The Satanic Temple or the Church of Satan. It's why whenever this is also a freedom of speech thing. Whenever somebody tries to put up the 10 Commandments on public grounds, they always put up like a statue of Baphomet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if the government's going to let them do that, well, government has to let us do this. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all about maintaining consistency.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, Dina, I can't argue with you.
Oh, yeah. We're well aware.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about a certain someone earlier.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, it's
that was religion and freedom of speech. Now, freedom of the press, that one falls on here too because it's freedom of speech. But the issue there is that they're talking directly about writing. There's a difference between talking and writing. It's not a significant difference, but it does exist.
Mm.
Yes, it's a distinction worth pointing out.
Well, this is also a protection for the press to it's a protection for like whistleblowers too as well.
Exactly, Crab. Liable versus slander. And
yeah,
I mean, at the time when they said the press, they were talking about the printing press. They weren't talking about internet. They weren't talking about fucking TV or anything like that because it didn't exist. Their main form of disseminating information via the news, papers, or anything like that was the printing press. So that's what they specifically referenced. But this is an important factor. Just because that's all they could conceive of at the time did not mean that that's all it protected. They specifically referenced the printing press because that's what they knew, but the intent was any written or any word that was not that was not spoken, anything that could be disseminated via writing, or via non face-to-face verbal, which turned into newspapers and all that stuff, and it progressed to the point where we are today, where the internet can't be there is no issue there with the internet being protected by freedom of speech or the freedom of the press. The freedom of the press also does, because it has expanded to news and stuff like that, has expanded to allow them to do certain things such as participate more in certain areas, such as press conferences and whatnot. But it's obviously applicable today as it was yesterday, just with the modern printing press and its methods.
And all I'm saying is, hey Twitch, you should let me use this whole list of sound bites that I'm not allowed to use on here. Yes, I have a whole list of not Twitch appropriate sound bites
That
I
you
can
are not
never
going to
play them.
use.
It makes me sad. Make me happy, Twitch. Let me do stuff.
Now, the peaceably assemble and petition of grievances, we did speak briefly. Yeah, peaceably is in the First Amendment. You're not allowed to just go in and start... So anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah, you can't just go around just smashing shit and burning shit. That's not protected under the First Amendment.
Hmm.
Destruction of property is still a crime.
Yeah, still a crime.
You're busted, buddy. I'm a cat.
Yeah, it's... And redress of grievances, that goes to a little bit towards court cases, but it also goes to petitioning. It does say specifically to petitioning. Which, yeah, like I said, it does go to court cases a bit, but it's primarily intended for addressing your senators, your your representatives, your mayors, your council members, your governors, your president, being able to send in information to them, or send in requests and whatnot to them in order to redress a grievance against the government you have.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to put it is you can wave your fist in the air all you want until it hits somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it stops.
Billy.
Thank you.
That's not necessarily true, because until there's obvious intent to hit somebody.
Yeah, calls to violence, things like that.
Yeah.
But that's that's getting into like a lot of Supreme Court cases.
Yeah, but I think I think the until it hits someone is just a little too vague, or a little more accurately, a little too specific, and does not include other things. Like, if caught on camera, someone swings at another person and misses because the person dodged, and that
that's it.
Other person punches them, it's still self-defense.
That's not the intent of the phrase. Your rights end where mine begin. How about that?
No, because that's not necessarily true.
If you're yelling at me and then you punch me, that's where your rights end.
That's fair. I don't know. It's hard to come up with a single quick phrase that truly works.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to the fun stuff.
Yeah, let's go to the Second Amendment, which, as we said last month, could be a series of episodes all on its own.
Because
yeah, I mean,
one little comma.
It took us over half an hour just to cover the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna we'll try and limit ourselves to a half hour with the Second Amendment. I'm gonna actually set a timer for that. Give me a moment. And I will start it as soon as I finish reading it. So, here we go. Timer. 30 minutes. Alright. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the timer started. So yeah, I mean, everyone here, I'm sure, has an opinion on this, or at least has what they think this means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
just gonna let you
certain
talk 'cause
Sir
I'm pretty on
Jables and
board.
I are relatively similar. I wouldn't be surprised if Crab comes back and says, nope, you're fucking wrong. But here's what this is. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. That is what's called the prefatory clause. It's not what the amendment is. It's explaining why it exists. So you can take that as just, hey, this is primarily so that the people can, so that we can have militias.
Yeah, so that militias can be raised in times of need.
The actual amendment, what actually is being enforced, the operative clause, is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free state is technically superfluous.
Yeah, we're
It's
recognizing
only there to
this
explain
is the
why.
why.
It's a recognition that states should be able to defend themselves.
Yeah, this is the why, and then the next part is the is.
The next part
Yeah.
is the what.
Yeah, what, why, what, whatever.
The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The
Yeah.
right of the people. It very specifically says the right of the people. And in fact, in a lot of the state's arguments in a lot of these Second Amendment cases, a lot of the arguments right now is that the wording of the Second Amendment is very vague as to who the people are. But everywhere else, let's see, there are other amendments. The Fourth Amendment, the right of the people, that is very specific to U.S. citizens. I think there's another amendment here, but I don't want to go through and find it. It also says the right of the people. Or
there's
says
one that
the
refers
people.
to person in the Fifth Amendment.
Yes, but
Let
it's
me scan through.
specifically looking for the people. Anytime the people is used, it's used to mean the American citizenry. Now, the biggest argument that a lot of states are trying to put forward is that they don't know who the people are in the Second Amendment, despite the fact that everywhere else in the Constitution and in the amendments where the people show up.
Not to mention, there's extra writings from the forefathers, like where they really lay out what they meant. And a lot of people
for example, the time that they got sent a letter asking what they need to do in order to purchase cannons, or if it's even allowed for them to purchase cannons to put on their ship. And the founding fathers' response was effectively, pay the merchant.
Yeah. Pay the merchant shall not be infringed. Go for it, buddy.
Just like as long as you paid for them, fuck it.
Don't steal them.
You need cannons on your ship? Just buy some cannons. Put them on your ship. You need the cannons. Buy them.
Why are you even asking
money for
us?
it? Can he take out a loan?
Yeah,
what are you asking?
It was basically, why are you asking us? Just pay for that shit.
Are you asking to borrow money to help protect your shit? What's going on here?
Yeah. What exactly is your question? I don't get it. There have been arguments about what keep and bear arms means. Keep is to have, and bear is to carry. And that's been established in multiple Supreme Court. That was what it was meant at the time, and that has been upheld and reestablished in multiple Supreme Court cases.
It's like you can own firearms and you can carry them around with you.
And don't start with this nonsense about how they only had muskets because they didn't only have muskets back then. There's a
Let's
lot of
see.
other things.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Paco
look
gun?
up this one gun.
The Paco gun?
1775 air rifle.
Yeah. There was an air-powered rifle that could fire multiple rounds in succession.
Yeah.
It was really expensive, and not
And
a whole
yeah,
lot of
they-
people had it,
Not
but it existed.
yeah, and the founding fathers knew these guns existed. They were just impractical because of how expensive they were, and like they'd break all the time. Like they just weren't good at the time. But to think that technology can't improve, and that the founding fathers thought, oh no, this is it. This is the highlight of guns. No.
I mean, like, do you think if George Washington and his Continental Army had access to AR-15s, they wouldn't have used them against the British?
They would have thought it was dope. It's like, what?
Yeah,
We can
they
do that?
had fucking the look up the 1775 morgues, morges. God damn it. Let's see.
MORGES?
Yes.
Yeah, the Morgs rifle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and love him or hate him, Steven Crowder actually has a really good video on where he breaks down like a lot of the guns that existed at the time.
Man, I would love to get a morgues rifle. That would be cool.
It looks cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Looks like
pull
it has a
up
little grenade on it. I think that's cute.
That was only one version. That was the 1775 version. Subsequent versions had moved the air tank into the stock, I think.
Yeah. Like, it kind of reminds me of how, like, one of my absolute favorite weapons to use in the Metro games is the T-Car. It's a air-powered rifle that fires 15mm ball bearings.
Nice.
It's one of the best weapons in the game, especially if you don't want to be seen.
Alright, let's see. No, that's way too small. God damn it. Man, I miss when Google Images actually showed you the size of the fucking image.
Yeah. Well, it does. You just have to click on it, see the preview.
Yeah.
They added extra steps.
That's a morgues. That's a morgues rifle.
Yeah.
From the time of the founding.
I like the one with the grenade thing.
The Wikipedia
And that
picture.
stock looks uncomfortable.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Have you guys played like Fable 2? You know, like the turret rifles? Like the
Yeah.
shape and like the look of the stock kind of reminds me of those.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is an
Speaking
air
of turret,
rifle
that
shoots
was
multiple
another
shots.
thing. Is multi-barrel firearms were a thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, multi-barrel firearms is technically where the inspiration for revolvers came from.
Yeah, you know, like Samuel Colt looked at like pepper boxes and it's just like, there's got to be a better way of doing those.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one in particular.
Yeah, I will say this. Y2K does say all those old rifles were such nice-looking firearms. Yes, there is an absolute aesthetic to older firearms. And this is not a firearm, believe it or not. This, despite being a rifle, is an air gun. It's not a firearm.
Yeah. It's a BB gun times 1,000.
Yeah, the main difference here is this was usable for hunting.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't realize just how long, like, high... And I'm using the term here just because caliber refers to, like, size of projectile. Like, people don't know how long, like, high caliber air guns were produced for the specific purpose of hunting. Like, they were much more expensive in comparison to, like, you know, comparable firearms, but it was a market for a while. And even now, you know, air rifles are still a thing, and they're still routinely used for hunting, usually of small game. Like, there's a lot of channels on YouTube of people like that use air rifles for pest control.
Yeah, I hunted rats at my old duplex with an air pistol.
Yep, and you can get them in magazine-fed varieties, and yeah, air guns have been around for a long time. And they're pretty cool.
Like here's that specific 1775 version. So that thing is pretty cool.
That's
Obviously,
the one I like.
This is the it's got that air canister on the bottom, but this is a multi-shot piece of gear. So they knew it existed. Makes it a little hard to argue against that.
I said, like, it's
I finally found it.
It's a hardened canister that contains the air bladder for the rifle, correct? So that the bladder doesn't get punctured or damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compressed air escaping is very dangerous.
Rimshi, I posted a gun that existed at the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to copy link. That's what I meant to do. No! What the hell?
Wrong link.
What have you done, you fool?
So that's a poor image quality, but that is effectively the predecessor to the revolver.
Yeah, but this one fired all the bullets at once.
Yeah, which was the biggest issue with those. It's basically a shotgun pistol.
Well, yeah, I said, like, that's like a multi-barrel firearm. Like, as I said, the true predecessors to what would become revolvers were pepper box guns. Where it's like, it's multiple barrels, and like, between each shot, like, you rotate, you know, like, the entire barrel assembly to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
but this
pulling
one
up an image.
Like, a lot of people
is ridiculous.
A lot of people have seen pepper boxes and not even realized it. Like, if you've ever played Clue as a kid, the gun in Clue is a pepper box.
Yeah.
Of course, pepper boxes had a similar problem that early revolvers would have, where there was the chance that, like, it could chain fire.
Yeah.
As in all the barrels going off at once.
Rimshi, I'm gonna send the most atrocious looking pepper box gun.
I was just pulling that one up.
As Y2K says, like, it helps you kill the absolute fuck out of one guy.
This is one of the... This was where it ended. Why the hell did it control?
Yeah, like that one right there was the one on screen currently. Like that was a fairly common pepper box.
Yeah, common.
And then the
But, like-
second one I posted is more realistic.
Well, that's the thing is that, like the early days of we need to be able to shoot more than once with our firearms led to some
Interesting
ideas.
And I'll see.
Yeah.
Some would say unorthodox or batshit insane, but
I mean, look at this thing. Let me pull up the image. Oh, that's a horrible image. There we go.
well, Crab, if it managed to chain fire on you, it took way longer than it did to shoot it. God, can you imagine that thing chain firing? It'd break your fucking wrist.
This is the Puckle gun. It existed in 1718.
Yep. And this is an artillery piece.
Yeah.
Granted, a light artillery piece, but still, this was a deck gun.
Yeah.
It was not... admittedly, this was not a very functional firearm. It got used maybe once or twice. It was purchased for use on, like, one expedition or something like that.
Yeah.
But...
The whole point of all this is technology was constantly advancing around firearms. And with things like the Puckle gun, somebody's going to make, like, an effective one.
Yeah. For anybody that's played Red Dead Redemption 2, you use a crank-style cannon very similar to a Puckle gun at one point in the game during the Cuba chapter.
Yep. But, I mean, people will argue that Keep has been fucking beaten to death by this point. Bear is the one that was handled by Bruin primarily, but it's the one that's now gonna get beat to death as to what it applies to. And they'll find some other way to fucking deal with it, but Second Amendment basically says that you have a right to... also, another factor that they've been trying is arms. What does arms mean? Well, arms means anything offensive, anything that can be used offensively or defensively, effectively.
Yeah. This ranges from swords to firearms.
Also, fun little factor. This is kind of slightly off topic, but we're getting close to the end of the timer. Oh no, we've still got 10 minutes. We're trying to be very, very succinct with this because we know we only have a half hour on it. So I think
We were
that's
being more
why.
succinct than we thought.
Yeah. But interesting fact having to do with how the wording works and how the laws worked back at the founding. A pistol is not a gun according to the founding. So any law back then that said you could not bring a gun into this area, and it was always talking about land or enclosed property, not into buildings or anything like that. It was always on.
It was referring
property.
to long guns.
It was referring
long
to guns, and according to the time, a pistol was not a gun. So you were anywhere you were not allowed to bring a long gun, you could bring a pistol. There wasn't anywhere you couldn't bring a pistol. So a lot of the arguments having to do with a lot of these new restrictions having to do with, oh, you have to get permission from the owner in order to bring this firearm onto the property. Yeah, those won't work out. And if you want to learn more about that stuff, definitely suggest go checking out 4 Boxes Diner on YouTube.
Yeah. And
that's where I got
Yeah,
this.
because especially at the time, like smaller firearms, like pistols, were seen as primarily things for personal defense. Like if you were fighting a battle, you didn't go in with your pistol. Like your primary implement was your rifle, your long gun. Like the pistol was your last resort option because it has no fucking range.
Yeah, we didn't have the concept that we do nowadays of a sidearm. You've got your rifle and you've got your pistol sidearm. You've got your backup, your primary and your secondary. No, they had their rifle. If something happened to that thing, they have fixed bayonets. That was their secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, most people didn't even have pistols if you were part of a military.
If you want a really interesting rabbit hole to go down, look up black powder pistols in felon.
Yeah, you can own a black powder pistol as a felon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after a certain point, they're considered antiques.
Well, no, they just aren't considered firearms. You can
purchase modern manufactured black powder pistols.
Yeah, they aren't classified as firearms under the law.
Yeah.
So
it's a strange thing, but it is the case.
Weird little loophole. And I think that's how they keep and bear arms.
You know, there are multiple black powder firearms that can hold multiple rounds, like lever actions.
Side note, not directly related to the Second Amendment, but kind of in the adjacent square. A lot of people will say the U.S. doesn't have a sword associated with it. If you want to get technical, the American sword, the U.S. sword, is the saber.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We issued them to ship captains. We issued them to cavalry officers.
I thought you were going to say the bayonet, because that would be dope.
No, it's the saber. I mean, the NCO sword in the Marine Corps is a saber.
Yeah. It's like, at one point, sabers were, state-issued weapons to members of the military. It's like, oh, you're a cavalryman? Well, this is your issued sword. We made this for you. Don't lose it.
Just touching on the firearms thing a little bit. Remember that story about World War I when, we started using shotguns and the Germans were like, whoa, 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 you can't do that. Stick to, mustard gas like the rest of us. Jeez.
Yeah,
that's a
lot of people don't realize. In the Geneva Convention, the Germans tried to sue the Allies for using shotguns in the trenches, and the Allies is like, you're using poison gas, fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Germans got mad that every time their guys would charge the trenches and get real close, dudes would just pop up with shotguns, and yeah, that didn't end well.
Yeah, and their head went bye-bye.
That or if allies would get into their trenches and have shotguns, yeah, that gets messy real quick too.
Yeah. It's inhumane. Sure, we're mustard gassing everybody. Don't focus on that. Don't focus on that. Shotguns are inhumane.
World War I was interesting, folks. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm tired of all the focus on World War II. We need to get back to World War I stuff.
Well, World War II is more recent, and people are more interested in the fight against the fascists.
Yeah.
So
that and World War II, it was in the end even more cataclysmic.
Yeah.
A lot of motherfuckers died in that war.
A lot of motherfuckers died in World War One too. The main difference is that we had the technology to really fuck shit up in World War Two.
Yeah, because we got
Yeah,
planes.
everything that we had in World War One was refined and made way, way deadlier by the second time around.
Yeah.
What makes
Yeah,
World War
well,
One
it's 'cause-
interesting is that you have a bunch of nations fighting their very first modern war, and like trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, because up until that
Machine
point,
guns changed a
wars-
lot of shit.
Yeah, well, up until that point, wars were generally fought. You line up, you march towards each other, you shoot and pray. Spray and pray.
Although
Yeah.
it's interesting because a lot of stuff that would happen in the First World War was actually previewed in the American Civil War. It's just a lot of people in Europe weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Because trench
I mean-
warfare was a big thing, especially in the latter parts of the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Massed artillery fire.
Well, I mean, you're coming from an era, like, everyone thinks of the Civil War as being part of this era, but it was the transition point away from this era, where you get ranks of individuals with firearms. You'd march them to the battle. The first rank would fire and volley. Second, then kneel down. Second rank would fire and volley, then kneel down. First rank would fire and volley, and then reload. And by then, your first rank should be all reloaded, ready to fire again. So you've got a constant spray of fire,
The only problem with
acting
this,
like a shotgun. It's basically a shotgun blast.
well, that's the thing. Is like the only problem with this going into the Civil War is that there was an innovation that was made called the mini ball.
Mhm.
That wasn't the
Suddenly-
only innovation. That wasn't.
Well,
they
yeah, like
also-
rifling
rifling.
muskets.
Rifling.
Like
was-
rifling had been a
was the
thing before,
biggest
but it hadn't
innovation.
been employed on this much of a scale. But the thing is, even with rifling, like using round shot, there was only so much you could do.
It did
Combining
increase
rifling with the mini ball, though,
Yes.
all of a
If it-
sudden
if it
motherfuckers
was-
are way more accurate to much greater distances.
If you've only got the rifling, you're spinning a ball, and that could rotate in any number of angles. So you could have accuracy with one shot, and then completely lose it with the next. But you're more accurate on average. With the mini ball, you've got something that's actually gonna stay relatively straight going down the barrel. It's not gonna improve accuracy at all for you because you've got no rifling in it, but it makes it it makes it a little, well, it does improve accuracy a little bit, but it doesn't improve it by very much. The moment those two combine, it just stabilizes that elongated projectile, and it spins right into the guy's dome piece.
Yeah, because the way the mini ball was designed, at the very bottom, the expanding gases would cause the soft lead to expand out to dig into the rifling, like fit the barrel, making a much tighter fit.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, our accuracy and range went from like maybe 50 yards on a good day to we're reliably hitting dudes at like 300 or 400.
There's
Fuck.
also there's also the self-contained casing. Once you add that on there too, reloading became a lot more a lot quicker.
Yeah. The fucking, not just the Henry repeating rifle, but the Spencer repeating rifle, which was actually an issued weapon to Union troops.
Not many. It was still a high-end weapon, but it was issued to some troops.
But yeah, it's like the Civil War is what spelled the end for Napoleonic tactics. It's like, this shit's not going to work anymore. And that's how you got a bunch of dudes like just marching dudes in big lines into machine gun fire in the First World War.
Because some nations adapted a lot quicker than others.
Yeah.
Well, that was a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, but also our time's up for the Second Amendment. Perfectly on
Good
time. You
timing.
finished that sentence and the alarm went off.
Hooray!
Perfect.
I totally
All
didn't
right.
plan
this.
Moving on
This
to
one's
the
my
Third
favorite
Amendment.
because I used to
the-
do funny jokes with my active duty friend with this one.
This one is... We're not going to cover it too much. We'll probably cover it more than we think we will. But we're not going to cover it too much because it really isn't worried about in our modern day. But
It's not
the Third
nearly
Amendment-
as
let me
relevant
read it real
as
quick.
it was.
The Third Amendment is no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
Yeah. So what
All
I
that
used to do with my
means
buddy
is
that
the
was active
government
duty.
can't... All that
Hold on,
means
hold on.
is that the government can't require you to house military personnel. It's not a requirement. They are required to find some other way to go about it.
I used to do this with my active duty buddy. Well, when he was active duty. He'd be crashing at my place for like a day or two, and it's like, all right, buddy, Third Amendment. Time to go. Just a dumb little joke I did. I liked it.
But yeah, the whole point behind this one was, and this was one of the major grievances behind the Civil War, or not the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. The British would come into an area and say, okay, you have to house and feed our troops. You just have to. You have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Refusal is treason or something like that.
Yeah, and
And-
the founding fathers were like, nobody liked that. It's hard to live out here already. Like, let's not have that be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Also, if
No
the
one likes
soldiers,
this.
if the soldiers, like just ate all your shit or like broke your kitchen furniture, like you had no recourse to that.
Yeah. Because they could do whatever they wanted. They could kick you out of your own bed.
Yep. I mean, technically, they weren't supposed to, but there
they
wasn't
could.
anything preventing them. They were allowed to.
Yeah.
They just
They were
weren't
allowed to.
technically-
If they were cool, they wouldn't. But a lot of times they weren't cool.
Yeah. No, you go sleep in your barn. We're taking your beds. Basically, what they could do. And you had to go along with it, because if you didn't, they had the right to kick you out of your house entirely.
So yeah, the founding fathers, when they were writing up the Bill of Rights, was like, yeah, we're not going to let that be a thing.
But notice that it does specifically say without the consent of the owner. If the owner was cool with it, it was allowed. Because the owner's cool with it.
Yeah, so pretty much, are you guys? I'll be cool if you guys are cool. You gonna be cool? Yeah, we'll be cool. Cool. All right. Yeah. We should I should write little skits about each of these.
Yeah, keep in mind that a lot of these boil down to responses to grievances they had against England. Like, the First Amendment did book burnings and tried to prevent them from saying what they wanted to say.
You'd be arrested for speaking against the king.
Yeah. Second Amendment was because they were trying to confiscate firearms from the colonists. Third Amendment, like we said, it's because they would come in and say, hey, you have to quarter us. It was like, fuck
How
you!
about I draw and quarter you?
Freedom!
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's one of the shortest ones.
Yeah,
It's
because...
this is the least controversial one.
Yeah, and that's mostly because It's been that way and hasn't been challenged for so long.
Well, it stopped
That
becoming
it isn't an
necessary
issue.
at a point.
It does say, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So only in a time of war can it be prescribed by law. But even then...
Yeah, like if if someone was invading Seattle and soldiers needed to post up in my apartment for whatever reason, they'd probably be able to do that.
Yeah. But chances are you'd be pulled out, you'd be evacuated.
Yeah, I'd be evacuated, and then they take over my place and play all my fucking video games and ruin my save games and stuff. It's fucking bullshit.
They wouldn't do that. They'd be too worried about taking incoming fire. I mean, it's kind of similar to my area. Chances are they'd come in and they'd probably be quartered, and my family would be evacuated.
Yeah.
Notice there's a difference there. I said my family. I didn't say I would.
Yeah. We're all aware, Rimshi.
They might try, but fuck them.
Well, that's the thing, though, Crab, is that, like, this is referring specifically, you know, like, when there is active military operations going on in the area and shit.
Yeah. Like
The
I said,
military has
if
its
my
own
area was
living
being invaded and I had to be evacuated, then they'd probably take over my apartment if necessary.
Yeah, but again, that would be in a war zone. That the laws are slightly different there.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that the military has its own living spaces now is in part because of the Third Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we have bases all over the place.
It's like, okay, we have places where you can be housed all the time. So
I mean,
it's
it's
not
kind of like
necessary for you to go into the countryside to find a place to sleep.
It's kind of like the interesting distinction between Army forts and Marine Corps camps. It doesn't matter how permanent it is, based on... If you look at it, the Army tends to be more of a sit here and occupy type force, whereas the Marine Corps is more of a get in, get out, and do some damage kind of force. And that's reflected in what they call their bases. An Army fort is something a little more fortified, a little more permanent, whereas a Marine Corps camp, it's not.
Yeah.
Even though the reality is that both types of bases are permanent as fuck.
Yeah, because as Ramsey said, with the Marines, yeah, you're going in first, but it's with the intention that the Army, who's going to bring all the fortifications and, like, occupying troops, is coming in after you.
You march, you make pink mist, you move on.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you get a shower in a month.
Anyway, yeah, we can move on from this one.
Yeah. Oh, this one's one of my favorites.
Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their possessions, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
So this was a response to
But just
British
before you go,
soldiers would
Jay,
just see to if you had any anti-British sentiments in your place. They just come in and be like, "Fuck your shit. What you got?" And maybe even take some of your money.
But in very basic terms, this just says, like, yeah, we can't just come and kick your fucking door in and take your shit whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been interpreted weirdly in multiple situations. For example, stop and frisk.
Yeah.
That is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah, that's why they don't do it anymore. Finally went
Red
through.
flag laws are well, that's not why they don't do it anymore. They're actually trying to re-implement it.
Yep. Because some people don't like the fact that you have rights.
Yeah.
Red flag laws are a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and I believe they're also a violation of what is it? I don't remember which one it is, but I think it's absolutely a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Obviously, the Second Amendment, but
It might be the sixth.
yeah, maybe the sixth.
Which we will get to.
But it violates multiple laws, multiple amendments. Let's see, there are other ones that violate the Fourth Amendment. Although, interestingly enough, there are exceptions to the Fourth Amendment having to do with probable cause. Even though it specifically says, upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, there are certain, exceptions in that, like, a cop just happens to look in a window and sees someone, choking, or they've been stabbed or something like that, and, they're still alive. They don't need to wait for a warrant in order to break into that house, because there's justification right there. It's supported by the fact that the person is dying and will probably attest to that. But
I'm okay with
very
that.
much. It also very much limits what they can technically search for. They can't start going through drawers and whatnot. But if there's something on the coffee table that they happen to see while they're doing their thing, that is not against a warrant to say, hey, they have this. Yeah. I have visual of this.
Yeah,
it's just like how it's just like how, let's say you're trying to find proof of, you've got a warrant because you have probable cause that someone is a diamond smuggler. And while searching through the house, you don't find any diamonds, but you do find drugs, some like methamphetamine, crack cocaine, something like that. Well, since you're looking for diamonds, anywhere that diamonds might exist is open for search, and you can say, hey, I didn't find diamonds, but because of this warrant, I did find this. That's okay. Let's say you're looking for a stolen car. And while you're looking for that stolen car, you go into a drawer and you find stolen diamonds. Well, that's inadmissible in court, because why are you looking for a stolen car in a drawer?
Yeah. It's like you went there for
here's
a car.
Here's the one that really pisses me off with the whole probable cause thing. It's the I smell marijuana.
Yeah. That
Come on.
The I smell this, or it is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I smell marijuana. Well, could have been the car that just drove by you, for all you know.
Yeah, I always lit a cigarette in my car, rolled my window down just a bit, and just blew smoke out the window. Not necessarily in the cop's face, but close to the cop's face.
Also, the
I've only
fact
been
is, like,
pulled over like twice.
it's like that you can say you smell something, but you don't have to back that up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a video of a guy who was pulled over for high beams on, and he had his high beams on because one of his low beams was out or something like that. So in order to actually have
both headlights on and functioning,
yeah, he had his high beams on. Well, the cop pulled him over for that, and then throughout the entire thing was trying to claim, oh, I smell alcohol coming off of you. Your eyes are bloodshot. Oh, that basically really trying to get him on a DUI. Dude blows a 0, and cop immediately flops over to, well, marijuana. Yeah, I smelled pot.
Yeah.
Cop was trying to get a conviction. And
Trying to find something.
yeah,
Anything.
that's fucked up. Just like with, oh, we're gonna sit here and wait while, we're gonna do this certain traffic stop thing and wait for the dog to get here, but we're gonna make sure that this takes long enough for the dog to actually arrive, because waiting for a drug sniffing dog to show up is not a justification for keeping you on the side of the road. It's one of those stupid things. They find some other way to go about keeping you stuck there just so that they can wait for the drug sniffing dog to show up.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll talk extra slow. They'll ask a lot of questions. Yeah. Crab, I agree. That is possibly the most fucked up thing a cop can.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think.
Yeah. Which is why I'm initiating my video series, How to Talk to Cops. Because I could have been arrested a lot. But I wasn't.
Oh, one of the things was, one of the justifications was, it took you really long time to find your insurance card, and you ended up having to pull it up on your phone. You know, maybe because he didn't have it in the glove box and didn't realize it?
Yeah. Once again, I recommend people keep like their insurance card and their registration clipped to their visor. Just
Or another option is get like one of those clear plastic folders and keep that in your glove box. That's fine too, because then you just look for that plastic folder that you have in there. You pull it out, and you open it up. It's all right there. You're not searching.
yeah,
for
but
it.
I'm always nervous about people going into their glove boxes because it's like,
Yeah, well, if you're gonna do that, you always say, "Hey, it's in my glove box. Do you have an issue with me reaching over?"
Yeah.
So that
Always
they at least know
announce what you're
doing.
going to do.
oh, another thing, if you get pulled over, do not take off your seatbelt until the cop approaches the vehicle.
Yep. If you do that, they could theoretically get you on driving without a seatbelt.
Yep.
Yep.
Just wait until they approach, then grab your stuff. That's all.
Not worth the bullshit.
Yep. If anything
Alright, someone
happens,
else.
fight it in court, not on the streets.
Yep.
Which leads us to the Fifth Amendment, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Good transition. Go ahead. Do you want to read it?
Oh, yeah. Another one of my favorites.
I played the fifth.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
Yep.
Shut the fuck up.
That covers a
That's
lot. First off, shut the fuck up. But also, the government cannot take your property for public use without just compensation. Now, the issue there is, what's just compensation? Personally, I think that if the government is going to mandate you sell your land to them, it should be at twice market price.
Nah, 4 times.
Yeah, fair enough. It should be at least twice.
Yeah.
At least.
No, Crab.
No, Crab. Period.
No, Crab. You shut the fuck up long before that.
Period. You shut the fuck up. You answer their questions.
No.
You answer their questions that they legally that you legally have to answer, which depends state by state. Some states require you to provide your name, provide your ID, all that stuff. Some states don't. But you keep your mouth shut. You answer with as brief of answer as you possibly can if you have to answer.
If they ask you where are you going, shut the fuck up. If they ask you where you're coming from, shut the fuck up. You don't have to answer those questions.
Those are probing questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Answer the standards. Who are you? And that's about all you needed to answer. Depending on the state.
If they ask you if you know why they pulled you over, that's a probing question.
Yeah.
That's them trying to
because they might have pulled you over because in some states, if you don't have lights on your license plate, like they can ticket you for that, or at least give you a warning. So they might pull you over for that. And then if they ask,
ticket.
Huh?
Yeah, fix it ticket.
Yeah. But they'll come up and ask, do you know why I pulled you over? And you might have been speeding a little bit. And if you say speeding, boom, now they got you with a speeding ticket.
Yep, they got you for both.
Yep. Well, why I actually pulled you over was this, but since you just admitted to speeding, here's another.
Not that they'll say that.
Yeah. They'll just go, yep, pulled you over for speeding and this.
Yeah. Like that. Who knows? Don't answer probing questions. Just answer, do you know? Now, if they say, do you know how fast you're going? Or you were going? That is a question that might be in your best interest. Might not be in your best interest to answer. It depends on the situation.
No, I would always respond with, what did you clock me at?
Not a bad thing, but it does depend. Sometimes answering it correctly could benefit.
Yeah, I had a math teacher. He got new wheels for his truck, and they were bigger than the old ones, and he hadn't recalibrated the speedometer. Yeah. So he got pulled over for speeding because it seemed like he was going slower, according to his speedometer, than he actually was.
Yeah.
So there's little things like that. Like, well, my speedometer said this.
Yeah. Also, an important thing, even if you do answer a question, make sure you answer it correctly. My speedometer said this. For example, for speeding.
Yeah. You might have a faulty speedometer, which you can get out of the ticket for that.
You can get out of the ticket. I mean, you'll still get a fix-it ticket, but that's fix it, or you get fix it within a reasonable amount of time, or you also get this fine tacked on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Rimshi, we should do a role play sometime. You being the cop, and
that's not a bad
me being
idea.
the driver. Yeah.
Also, another thing with this, it does go on to
or wait, do we have any cop friends? We could probably do that.
If we have any cop friends? I don't think we have any cop friends.
Scupper was kind of a cop, but not that kind of cop.
Scupper was a security guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, any of you out there, if you have a cop friend,
I know.
No, I want
people
somebody
who-
that's actually gone through the training. Grab, not Nick
I
played
know
a cop in
people
a
who
film.
were cops, but
Let me rephrase this. Do you know anybody who's a former cop that would be willing to do like a little role play?
Oh fuck.
I you know what? I wonder if my buddy Corrigan's still a cop, because he would totally be down for this shit.
Well, he's had the training, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was a cop for. He might still be a cop. I don't know, but he's a guy. I had beers with him on graduation day. Smoked weed in my garage and shit. Like, yeah. Anyhow.
Well, shit. Yeah. There's a section of road that's absolutely closed because of damage from the storm we had. It's closed indefinitely.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
trapped?
just got word about that.
Are you trapped?
No. It just means I need to spend I need to leave earlier and spend more on gas.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah. I guess I don't need to leave earlier. I can leave at the same time because I leave early enough as it is, but that's fun.
Alright.
Anyway, let's move on.
Why move on? We haven't even touched on Double Jeopardy yet.
No, I'm getting to move on from that little sidebar.
Oh, yeah. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Double jeopardy. You cannot be tried twice for the same crime.
Once you're found innocent of a crime, you are innocent.
They could find
Period.
a video of you doing the crime.
You could admit
Well, no.
it right after.
Wait. Hold on. I gotta push back on you for that. Nobody is found innocent. People are found not guilty.
You're right. Fair enough. If you're found not guilty, well, okay, there is a slight alteration to that when it comes to self-defense cases, but that's its own thing we can get into in a moment. But yeah, if you're found not guilty, you could come out to the public immediately after the court case and announce to everyone, "Yep, I beheaded that person," and they can't put you in jail for the crime.
I did it. Fuck you.
Yep.
Oh, that's a mistrial. That's different. There was no conviction made.
Yeah, there's no
That means let's do this again at a later date. That's what a mistrial.
Mistrial is there's no conclusion.
Yeah.
You were not found guilty. You were not found not guilty. There are certain cases where a case can be dismissed with prejudice, which is similar to being found not guilty, except that it's the court case was dismissed and the judge said, "You know what? You fucked up so bad. I'm not even going to let you bring this one back to court."
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if you are found not guilty in the court, they could find a video of you doing the thing and they can't take you to court again for it.
You could admit it in front of them, in front of the American people on TV, and there's nothing they could do about it. That's very true, Crab. None of us are barred lawyers.
But I am a doctor.
I'm a barracks lawyer. Slightly different, but...
Yeah.
I'm not certified
wait, Crab?
under any state bar.
Yeah. No, we are not offering legal advice to anybody.
Other
We're
than
just
the
telling
do
you
not talk to cops.
how we are seeing the amendments. That's all.
Doesn't
Just
mean that we don't have
Doling out
knowledge
some
on it.
common sense stuff. That's all.
Doesn't
We're
mean
just
we don't
reading
have
it for
some
what it
knowledge
is.
on it, but Now, anyway, to that slight variation when you're found when you're found not guilty, under the basis of self-defense. First off, in order to claim self-defense, you first have to admit that what they claim you did, with the caveat that the reason you did it was to protect your own life and limb. Therefore, you're immediately found to be not guilty, but you're immediately found to have done it. Therefore, why did you do it becomes the question. And if you're found to have done it for self-defense reasons, you're found not guilty of the crime, but you're found not guilty of a crime by virtue of the situation saying why you took the actions you did, not that you didn't do them. It's still technically not guilty, but it is basically saying, yeah, you're innocent of what you're accused. Because there is enough preponderance of evidence that self-defense applies. Given everything that the prosecutor could come up with, they could not find a way to say that you did this maliciously.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads us into the Sixth Amendment.
One of you want to take it?
Who?
I'll take it.
All right.
In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Yeah, so this is the second part of your Miranda rights.
Yep. Although I think the last part of this amendment, the assistance of counsel, oh, okay, no, never mind.
Yeah, that's your right to an attorney.
No, that's actually not your right to well, yes, that's your right to an attorney. However, that specific understanding of that amendment has been updated to mean that you have to be able to have an attorney present.
Yeah.
If you so desire.
Yeah, if you cannot afford an attorney, one could be appointed for you.
But that was that was because of a case where a man who had a criminal history at the time was accused of I think it was murder. He had committed a robbery in his past, and because he couldn't afford a lawyer, the prosecutor was able to run roughshod. I'm using that phrase way too often tonight, but he was able to run roughshod over the guy and get him to admit to his criminal history, because he didn't know that he didn't have to bring it up in court, and basically he didn't know how best to defend himself. And while this guy was in prison for this crime that he, as it turns out, did not commit, he was the impetus behind that whole alteration to the understanding that a lawyer has to be provided if one cannot be afforded.
Yeah. It was a robbery, kidnapping, and rape of a young woman. Ernesto Arturo Miranda. But yeah, they pretty much just didn't let him have a lawyer. He didn't know his Fifth Amendment rights and just sort of incriminated himself.
He didn't know the law because he's not a lawyer. He doesn't study it. And so the lawyer who does study it was able to just steamroll him.
Yeah. And so yeah, he was retried and he was still convicted, but it's like maybe we should let people know their rights like right off the bat.
No, he wasn't convicted. He was found.
He was retried and convicted. I was just reading it.
I could have sworn that he was not reconvicted.
Yes, yeah. He was still convicted. He did it, but but he didn't know that he had the right to an attorney. He didn't know that he had the right to remain silent. Like the whole thing was Miranda. It was an improper carriage of justice.
That's a completely different one. You're talking about Miranda rights. I'm talking about the actual origin of a public attorney having to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, different court cases.
Confusion.
Yeah, this guy, he became the impetus for a public defender to be required to be provided to the accused if one could not be acquired other than that. The guy could not afford a lawyer, and therefore, under the law at the time, he was not required to be provided one. As such, the prosecutor ran roughshod over him and was able to, using a prior...
Took it as an opportunity to fuck him over.
Yeah, using his prior conviction, was able to get him to admit to that prior conviction and was able to use that as justification for why he should go to jail and why he was guilty. And when he ended up going back to court after this long fight to make it so that lawyers had to be provided, he was actually found not guilty. Because his lawyer was able to come out and say, use the legal talk and actually keep prior conviction out of the court, come up with a plausible legal strategy, and was able to get him a not guilty conviction, or not guilty. Oh fuck, what's the term? Pronouncement?
I don't know.
Basically, he was found not guilty as a result.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find...
Judgment?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact court case.
Trying to figure it out, people. Slowly but surely.
Gideon versus Wainwright. That's what it was.
Right.
Gideon versus Wainwright.
Did it. Found it.
Cool.
So yeah. Is there anything else that we really need to cover on the Sixth Amendment?
I mean, there's plenty
Well,
to
there's
cover there.
the jury of the state and district.
Yeah,
There's a loophole with
basically-
that, where there's a section of, I think it's Yellowstone National Park, where you can commit murder because you can't be tried for the crime because nobody lives close enough around there for them to be classified as part of the district. So you can't really have a jury, and it's all it's all wonky.
That's a very, very specific case.
Yeah. Well,
And it
yeah,
wouldn't-
there was
it
a legal
wouldn't
professor
actually
that
hold
was
up
like,
in
"Hey, we got
court."
some problems with our stuff," and he wrote a whole paper about it. And he presented it to the government like, "Hey, we should probably fix this."
It's just like, that would take time and
Yeah, nobody's
That
done
would
anything
require
about
the
it.
government
It's
to
weird.
fix something instead of making it worse. But yeah, there's plenty we could go over on the Sixth Amendment. Impartial jury. You're never gonna get a truly impartial jury, but
yeah, because humans be humans.
Yeah, but that's why they have a jury process where some people might
Yeah.
be for you, some people might be against you.
you try. I mean, the goal is to get as impartial of a jury as possible. The lawyers are always gonna try and get jurors that are in their favor.
Yeah.
But everyone
So there's
on
a lot of
that jury
compromise
is
that happens.
technically a compromise.
Technically so.
Also, this is an important thing. Actually, this goes a little bit back to the Fifth Amendment. The fact that you have a jury leads to something known as jury nullification, which is where someone who is obviously guilty of a crime, well, there's more to it than this, but the more prevalent and more impactful version is you have someone who's obviously guilty of a crime. Everyone knows it. All the evidence is against them, but the jury comes back with a not guilty verdict.
mhm.
And
a lot of
for whatever
times it
reason.
might be because the law is unjust.
That's the thought behind it. The law is unjust. For example, this guy, he's obviously guilty of possessing marijuana, but he had a single joint.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to throw him in jail for a single joint. Fuck that. Not guilty. Theoretically, you could have the exact opposite. You could have someone who is obviously innocent of a crime. Hey, there's no way he committed this murder. There's no way he actually murdered this person, but we're gonna come back and say that he did because we don't like him. Both are
Yeah, but
jury
then-
nullification. However, the jury nullification is more effective in the not guilty direction. Because if you find them guilty, it can go up to appeals court. It could go all the way up to the Supreme Court, technically.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's about it for the 6th.
At least that's all we can cover now.
Yeah, without getting too in depth into it.
Yeah. I mean, we put down a fucking 30-minute timer on the Second Amendment and could have easily kept going. And that was with us trying to be succinct.
Yeah, we'll probably revisit the second at some point as its own episode, and we'll try and get more people on to discuss it.
Maybe when it's more prevalent.
Well, right now it's pretty prevalent with all the Second Amendment cases going on.
Yeah. What with New York and California kicking and screaming,
And
trying to find
Washington.
any way to get out of it.
Oh, hey, Larry.
Larry!
Also, hi, Bar.
Oh, hi, Mar.
Yeah, Washington, Oregon, California, and New York are all in a race to get their pee-pee slapped by the Supreme Court on Second Amendment grounds.
Yeah.
So they really love denying people their rights.
Anyway, we can move on to the Seventh Amendment. I'm gonna get a glass of water, if one of you could read it.
Sir, could you read this one?
Okay. Amendment 7. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. So yeah, this one is kind of in dealing with, personal
It's similar
suits.
to the Third Amendment in that it's not really paid much attention to anymore, because everything you'd go to court over is in excess of $20. But at the time, $20 was a massive amount.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he busted something. And that was like for $30. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that'd be like stealing a couple $100 today.
It's like a $600.
Yeah.
It's a little over that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to it, but this does give you your appeals process, too.
Yeah. Yeah, this basically guarantees, personal grievance matters that you can still, have trials decided by jury. And...
Yeah. Sorry, it's closer to $700, but $687 roughly.
Yeah, still, it's like right now we'd be like, yeah, that's a lot. That's what I would do to say, hey, fuck that. But at the same time, it's totally something I could see someone going to court over.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I nearly went to court with my first landlord over the security deposit.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I threatened to go to court over it that he paid up, and it was literally the next day I got the money.
Nice.
Just like, no, don't do that.
And we're talking closer to, in excess of $2,000 on that security deposit, because I live in fucking California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's not much to that one.
No, not a whole lot.
No, the rest don't much to him either. So.
Well, the thing is like, while the Eighth Amendment is short, there's a lot
There's a lot to that
that's
one.
attached to this.
Yeah. Excessive...
Especially given some recent trends in
I will go
bail
ahead and read it,
reform
and we
and
can talk
whatnot.
about it. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. It doesn't sound like there's a lot to that. However, because of that, we went from hanging to the electric chair, hanging and beheading and rifle squad or shooting line, to the electric chair, shooting line, and all that.
Gas
we
chambers.
added a couple. It's eventually gotten to the point of lethal injection, and even that is now in question of being cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people used to get like tarred and feathered.
Yeah, cruel and unusual. This is not based on anything historical, but my guess would be, at the time, cruel and unusual, or cruel or unusual would be like tarred and feathered, or a lynch mob, or something like that.
Yeah. But I think another important aspect of this amendment is the very first part there, saying that excessive bail shall not be, key word here, required.
Well, the question, excessive bail is not shall not be required, meaning excessive bail is not permitted, given the wording. But the more important word there is excessive. What counts as excessive?
Yeah, that's where you can get into the weeds a little bit.
It's just like cruel and unusual. What counts as this?
Yeah.
And so, like, this is definitely one where there's a lot of schools of thought on this particular amendment.
And none of them really agree.
I mean, like, there's like general agreements among us, like, like, okay, like, you shouldn't be like, torture shouldn't be like a reasonable punishment. It's like, okay, fair enough. Most people agree on that.
Yeah. Bar, what have we told you about that fucking nonsense?
But
Larry?
yeah,
Oh no, now they're both doing it.
Excessive bail is... You know what? How about this? We're gonna do it this way.
Oh shit, Jables, he's calling you out.
Damn it, they're both mods. I can't delete their shit. But yeah, excessive bail and excessive fines. The question becomes, what's excessive? Because that's a huge question. Just like cruel or unusual. What's excessive? What's cruel? What's unusual? I mean, it's to the point, and we were just talking about death penalty. What became cruel and unusual? What was perfectly fine at the time? It's going on in jails too. Are you permitted to deny them TV? Apparently not anymore. Apparently they should be allowed to have a gaming console too. Whatever, man.
Well, there's a case going on
pushy
right now where guards locked a dude in the walk-in freezer naked.
That
and
would be
died of
cruel and
hypothermia.
unusual. I don't think anyone can argue that's cruel and unusual.
Yeah, I would personally justify that as some form of manslaughter or murder.
Well, did he survive or did he die?
Jabel said he died.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, that's manslaughter at minimum.
Yeah. Like, that's gone beyond cruel, and you've committed a fucking crime.
Hell, I would say that's probably murder. I would go so far as to say
Yeah,
that's
I'd be willing to say it's
murder.
like, if you put him in there and you left him in there, like, you
That's
cannot
the tube
know
for
that,
the
like,
blower.
leaving someone in a freezer will not result in them dying at some point.
Yeah, that's cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah. That's the type of stuff it's just like, you can't do that! That's fucked! What is wrong with you? Yeah,
At that
is-
level, yeah. No one here is going to argue that that's cruel and unusual. The moment you start saying, hey, this person who caused a lot of pain and death, you cannot deny them a PlayStation, that's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, inflicting, just, like, unnecessary levels of suffering or, like, potentially even killing someone when that was not what their punishment was dictated to be is just like, yeah, no, you can't do that. That's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of done to death already. Let's move on to the Ninth Amendment.
Now, this one, the ninth, is an oft forgot about.
Hold on, real
What?
quick.
What?
We'll defeat you, Larry. You can't just unite with Bar like that.
Okay. So,
No, Larry's speaking his Spanish.
I know. But now, the ninth, this is an oft overlooked amendment, and I think people don't realize just kind of how important this one is. So let's just read it real quick. The Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So, who wants to start on that one? Because again, this is one that doesn't get brought up a lot.
Yeah.
When it probably should.
Ugh. Pardon me. Yeah, no, the Ninth Amendment is... It gets ignored, pretty much.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm not even sure where to start with it, or fully how to argue for or against it. I have to do research on that.
Yeah. I said, it's an oft ignored amendment, but it's like, it really shouldn't be. And I'll fully admit, I'm not really qualified to speak on it fully either.
We could do a serious Saturday where we just do research on the Ninth Amendment. Or
Yeah.
talk about research we've done on the
That
Ninth
might be better,
Amendment.
because I have an idea of what this means, but I'm not confident enough to say any of it.
Like, a very basic way of looking at it's like, the way that, like, certain rights are, like, explained or, like, presented in the Constitution itself cannot be used or, like, twisted to disparage or deny other rights that the people might retain. So it's like you can't use the rights presented in the Constitution in a way to deny people of other rights. Like, basically, you
Yeah.
can't weaponize the Constitution as it's written against people, or at least attempt to.
The people have their rights. That doesn't mean that anything written in here can be used to deny any of those rights.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard one. We'll have to look into that.
I said, like, it's more complicated than that. I'm just giving a very, very basic example of what this can pertain to. I said, the Ninth is an amendment that is often overlooked. A lot of people don't really understand what it's for anymore. Which is
We
kind
certainly
of one of the
don't.
reasons why we're doing this whole series, is that people don't understand the founding documents of this country.
The Ninth, like, we don't fully understand the Ninth Amendment, and we're talking about this right now, so we may as well do a special stream about it at some point.
Yeah. We'll revisit the 9th.
Yeah. And that brings us neatly along to the 10th Amendment, the final piece of the Bill of Rights, which is also extremely important. That being, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people.
Basically, the states cannot override the First Amendment. The states cannot override the Second Amendment. The states cannot override the Third Amendment. But in that same vein, the government cannot take, because it's not enumerated in the Constitution, the government cannot take action against drugs. The government cannot take action against a bunch of stuff that they've taken action against, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the 10th Amendment just gets really, really ignored at this point in time, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. As far as, like, especially our current political class in Washington, our current federal establishment, the 10th may as well not even exist. That's how much attention they pay to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, the 10th is kind of there to, like, it's like, yeah, the states cannot override, like, what's here in the Bill of Rights, but at the same time, it's like, a lot of other matters, it's like, could be deferred to the states, and our current status is like, no, fuck the states. The states don't have a say in anything, or at least that's how we want it to be.
Yeah. The 10th Amendment is like the 10th commandment. A lot of people ignore it.
I don't even remember what the 10th commandment is.
Thou shalt not covet.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, but I want the thing. I want it.
I want this country to be a Christian nation.
I want my multiplayer VR shooting range game.
Hey, I do.
No, coveting's different.
I know.
Coveting's like oh, my neighbor has a VR multiplayer shooting range game. Why can't I have one?
Or oh, my neighbor's wife is hot. Why can't I have his wife?
Yeah.
My neighbor has job security. Why can't I have job security?
Well, the actual text refers to like your neighbor's donkey and his wife. That's a nice donkey and that's a nice wife. I want those. I'm gonna grab them.
Yes, being communist is against God's law.
Until you get to the New Testament.
You have to remember, James, Jesus himself said, I am not here to get rid of the old laws, I'm here to reinforce them.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that part.
I'm here to fulfill them, but yeah. Yeah, but then he says a bunch of contrary shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that he doesn't, but that's the whole point. Is like people's like, oh, Jesus is on his like peace on earth. It's like, what about the whole like I come with a sword bit?
Well, and
Y'all don't
there's
want to
more.
address that?
There's also more than just 10 Commandments, and
Crap,
a
that
lot of
leaves you
Christians
as a
think this is
disgusting
just
socialist. That's where it leaves you.
Yeah.
In hell, crab.
Yeah. You're going to hell like all the others. Don't worry, I'm going to hell too.
Yeah, save a seat for me.
Going to hell?
I think the hell is just the old Discord.
I thought I was in hell.
Yeah.
I mean, the old Discord is kind of hell for me because it's unpopulated and kind of boring. It's just like there's nothing to do here. No one's saying anything.
No. Bar, if you're Catholic, you can't pull out at the last moment. Better spill your seed in the belly of a whore than throw it on the ground.
That's my favorite part. Which
I
means
have to
that
cream pie you. I have to.
what that means is that it should be more acceptable for whores to be walking around in a Christian nation than any
And to
other.
masturbate.
Yeah. Paying for a whore is more ethical than masturbation in Catholic circles, apparently.
Well, just in the Bible, if you take that. Yeah.
According to the Bible, yeah. According to the Bible.
Like, there ain't
hooking up
enough
with a
whores
whore-
walking around barefoot and pregnant in this town. Y'all been jerking off, haven't you?
Yeah. Exactly. Sorry, hun. God told me to raw dog a whore.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Alright. I think we're gonna adjust this to be just the Bill of Rights, because... Fucking hell.
Yeah, because we've
Shit's
already gone over 2 hours,
Yeah.
and we spent a quarter of that on the second.
And
we
we spent
spent
another quarter of it
we
on the
spent
first.
half of it on the first and second.
Yeah, we did.
Those are two very important ones.
And they're very
yeah.
relevant to modern day.
And as we point out, it's like there are a couple
Oh,
of
Bar, I like that. Strip club Bible study.
I want to invest.
I'm down.
Proselytize to the whores, boys. Proselytize to the whores.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stage, Miss Deuteronomy.
We'll set it up across the street from the Tube Shack.
They just have Bible verses written all over their bodies.
Welcome to the stage, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Just have
Oh,
a stripper
man.
named Idolatry.
Well, lust is also a sin. So, I mean. Anyways, so yeah, I guess we'll pick this up on
Yeah,
Amendment
we will.
11 next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up second Saturday of next month.
That's when
And
we
we'll
will
see how
start
many
the
amendments.
actual true amendments to the Constitution, because the first 10 were all implemented at the same time.
Yeah, that's Bill
Roughly the
Bill
same
of
time.
Rights. That's
Yeah.
that's very different than the other amendments. We'll get more.
But
into
like
that.
the next 17 amendments, so it's like these are ones where Congress actually got together. It's like, okay, we need to start adding stuff to this document.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first 10 are called amendments, but they're the Bill of Rights. They're not supposed to be fucked with. It's the
They
groundwork.
were essentially planned to be there from the start, and they're not supposed to be removed.
Yeah. Yeah, for all the Christians out there, these are the 10 Commandments, and the rest of them are Leviticus.
Oof.
Oh man. All right. Let's head off.
Hell, you could do an entire stream on this. Like, how legitimate is Leviticus? Let's ask Christians.
All right, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on Friday. Same time as usual. You know where to find us. You know what we're doing.
You know how big of a mistake it is already. We won't warn you.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everyone.
Later.